Welcome, everyone. This is Pike Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news on LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin,
Hi.
Sanswinda,
Hello.
Guarendis,
Good evening, everyone.
and Kilabathian.
Hello.
Hello. It's going to get fun trying to get used to the new names.
You said it with no problems whatsoever last week.
Well, yes. It's the second time that always gives you the trouble, I guess. Let's head into the news for this week. And this week we had Update 25.4, which introduced a new raid into the game.
Well, and here's the thing I thought was funny about the update. We were just talking last week about how they switched the restart days to Wednesday because their updates came out on Tuesday. This update came out on Wednesday.
Yeah. All right.
I just thought it was really funny because the whole point of the restarts being on Wednesday was because their updates are on Tuesday and they weren't doing, they were trying to juggle the two, and then they switched the.
No, that wasn't the reason. The reason is they were trying to get the updates on Tuesday, and they kept on slipping a day, and they're falling to Wednesday, so they kept on rescheduling the restarts for Wednesdays to coincide with the updates.
Oh, okay.
So that's why they changed it, was so that they could have more likely to hit the release dates then, and not have to constantly be moving their items in there. Though for raids, they are thinking of releasing raids in the future on Thursdays because that's when they restart the raid timers. And they're getting a lot of complaints.
Would be annoying. You get partway through, beat the first boss, and then we gotta start all over tomorrow.
because you do the first boss on Wednesday, you come in on Thursday, and all the locks have reset. So they're going to try to do future raids on Thursdays when possible. We'll see how well they're able to hold on to that. And of course, that means that the big thing is Remarchant, the Net of Darkness, which we've been talking about in the last few weeks because, yes, Sheila Braid is, I guess, the best way of saying that. And I heard a rumor, Sanswinda,
yes,
that you're actually thinking of doing it.
I am. I walked inside and was ready to start, but there were only 3 of us, so I didn't. But yeah, I think I'll gear up and see what I can do. We'll see.
Well,
it'll have to wait at least a few weeks because schoolwork, but we'll see.
And you get Celeborn's armor.
Right? I thought that I was going to get it by just going in, though, because of that pop-up quest. And no. You go in and it's like, now defeat all these guys, and then you can have Celeborn's armor. I was like, bait and switch? Anybody bait and switch? It's only cosmetic armor. It's not even good armor. And they're like, no, you have to finish the whole raid first.
That's funny. That's so funny.
Well, Celeborn needs the armor until the raid's over.
No, he's wearing real armor. This is like a copy of his armor.
And yet you're tempted enough to go ahead and do the raid.
Well, not for that, though. I got in there, and, everybody's looking ready. All the people who were in there, I want to say rangers, but they might not have been rangers. I didn't look that closely. They just all looked in their battle stance, and everything was ready to go. And I felt that feeling of starting a raid and being ready to go, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. And then I was like, there's 3 of us. Let's not. But yeah, noted. I will see if I can get the gear and be ready when I have time.
And how long between the time you get geared up and able to do it yourself to the time a group is capable of bringing in a lore-oriented run-through in the raid? Because a lore-oriented run-through of the raid is probably going to have a number of people who aren't really geared up.
probably about the time that most of the people who've done it on tier 2 and have better gear, we can support a number of under-geared players. But I was looking at that gear. Okay, did you see the new gear at the two guys in that one place? I want to call it
No.
Hegel,
Those two guys in that one place doing that one thing.
Right, Estelidlon. The two
With the thing and the stuff.
There's like 4 new gear guys in Estelidlon. Have you seen them?
No.
Okay, so the gear, like one of the guys is apparently from the instances, and the other 3 are for the raid. And okay, so the 3 for the raid are for tier 2. And so I'm not even going to bother with this. But the one guy from the instances, the armor that he's selling is purple. Some of my armor is purple that I bought with the what are they even now? Embers of Enchantment. I bought with my ashes at level 130. And the armor that this guy is selling is twice the armor value of the purple stuff that I bought from the Ember vendor. So twice. Almost twice. Not quite twice. If you do the math, it's not quite twice, but it's almost twice. It's gonna take me a while to get geared up because that's gonna take a while. So
that's why there are a few months between the release of the expansion and the release of the raid. Well, that and building the raid, of course.
Well, yeah, but like this is a brand new guy who just showed up there who has armor that's twice as good as the armor that you could get to this point. So this is a whole new armor grind probably to even be able to go into the raid. So I can start grinding for armor after the schoolwork is finished, and I might be able to go in by the time everybody's been completing it on tier 5. We'll see, but I am looking forward to trying it.
Okay.
As odd as that is.
As odd as that is. As for classes, I'm talking about character classes, not the classes that you're grading papers for. Several classes have had their stun removal skill cooldown reduced to 60 seconds. And the balance of defensive stats versus vitality has been tweaked to encourage more variety and itemization in defensive builds. Partial avoidances are now less expensive to cap. The itemization budget for avoidances and incoming healing has been slightly increased. The itemization budget for tactical mitigation has been slightly reduced. Like we needed a reduction in that. I don't know. Whenever I go to a place, my tactical mitigation feels like it's in the negative numbers sometimes. So if it's been reduced, that means it's going to be more negative. Yes, the
Pretty
itemization
much. And tactical mitigation is always hard for me to get to. So
yeah, the itemization budget for vitality and health has been reduced by about 5%. A bug has been fixed that reduced certain ratings in the later game. For burglars, flashing blaze and double-edged strike have had their damage output reduced. Boo.
Yeah.
Captain Noble Mark has been redesigned and now allows the captain to heal up to 3% every 3 seconds when they land a skill attack against any opponent. Noble's mark range is now only 12 meters, requiring the captain to remain in close proximity to their marked target and maintain the effect. In other words, you got to be there encouraging the people into action in order to get the healing benefits. Champions, blade, and strike skills damage has been increased. I'm sure that's a yay for you, Terry.
Yeah, but I didn't really notice it on Axley yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to test it on Jerry yet.
All right. Then commentary will be pending there. Hunters, area of effect poison cure has a longer cooldown, and a single target cure now has a cooldown.
boo.
Okay, I expected one from Sans on that one.
Yeah, but
It's not as bad as I thought it might be, but still.
But
Hunter,
the next thing for hunters.
yes, Hunter direct damage has been increased slightly across the board to compensate.
So be quiet.
Slightly.
Slightly.
Yes.
Maybe
Lore
Underline
Master.
Hunters will get back to you on this.
Okay. Lore Masters. Friend of the Animal's summoning skill will no longer noticeably delay the use of the next queued skill. This change does not apply to the Sikkim skill, and Searing Embers refreshed by set gear bonuses should now do their appropriate damage. As for the Runekeeper, Writ of Lightning, Ceaseless Argument, and Static Surge have had their damage output reduced. And for Wardens, Never Surrender now grants a proper 5% mitigation bonus instead of 50%.
Oops.
I wonder how long it's been doing that. Not that it's ever saved me, because usually when I'm against someone who really matters, they just tear. That's usually this big, huge damage spike, which rips through that, flips on the Never Surrender, and the backlash of that thing kills the warden instantly. That's happened even with that 50%. Now for crafting. Universal optional crafting ingredients are now available starting at level 20 for completing tasks each week. These ingredients can also be awarded for completing certain quests during the spring, anniversary, summer, harvest math, and Yuletide festivals. Universal optional ingredients can be used in a crafting recipe to guarantee a critical hit. You get one of these by completing 10 tasks.
It's a pretty good deal.
All right. So if you're going to be doing tasks anyway, especially if you've already maxed out the number of tasks you can do in a day, then you can get one of those every single day. If you're someone who's only at the beginning of it and you're still doing tasks every day, then you can every other day, then you can get one of these things. Of course, I'm a cook there, and so getting one extra crit on food is probably not as critical as it would be for someone who's an armor or a weaponsmith or someone like that. More than one optional ingredient can now be used at a time. If multiple optional ingredients are checked, one of each ingredient checked will be consumed upon recipe execution. Is there any other case then with this guaranteed one that you would have more than one possible?
I don't know. Maybe
Because
if you
I'd
weren't
say if you
paying
got,
attention.
because I would think that if you had a guaranteed crit, then why do you care about the other optional
I
ingredients?
wouldn't use another optional ingredient with a guaranteed crit on purpose.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering then. There must be something more to this that I'm thinking about. Malleable moonlit essences will no longer be able to go into your crafting carry-alls, as the crafting system is unable to recognize these essences properly. If you already have placed malleable moonlit essences into a carry-all, remove them in order to use them to craft new essences. Crafting recipe cooldowns can now be reset using Mithril. And the Woodworker recipe, Elite Vanguard's Hammer of Minas Ithil now offers weapons and agility as the main stat, and that's also true for their bow and the club. And the Standards of Hope and Crafting Tier 11 and onward now give vitality and tactical mitigation instead of maximum morale. Deeds. The deed Remerhat, the Net of Darkness, the Vanguard, is available for Tier 2 completion of the raid through April 15th, 2020. The Tier 3 completion deed is not yet available. Glimmering Ithil relics are now available in Minas Morgul instances at all group sizes and difficulties.
I
The
saw
sealed
one of these yesterday. It
Yeah.
was beautiful. It also is not mine, but it looks really nice.
All right. The sealed Ithil runes of striking, enchantment, and binding offered for barter by the White Company quartermaster in Estolan now correctly binds when acquired. If the sealed runes are already in your inventory, they will immediately bind to your account. If they are taken out of storage, mail, auction house, etc., they will bind to account of that character. Adventurer's Gear is now base item 412, and the chance to create it up to level 17. Class-specific silk steel, silk hide, and silkweave armor can be traded in for a comparable piece at the Rembrandt Quartermasters in Estodon. A new Imlad Morgul instance rewards Quartermaster in the Stolen Line will allow you to barter Embers of Enchantment to receive gear for the Minas Morgul instances as long as you have completed the appropriate tiered instance completion deed. And as for the Legendary Worlds, the Erebor Raid armor sets are now available for barter at the Skirmish Camp once the appropriate Road to Erebor deed has been completed. The Anorian Pet Food now pulls correct stats for a level 100 item. The stats for most low-level crafted jewelry has been reworked to provide more modern stats. Most low-level gear has been updated to use modern itemization tables, blah, blah, blah. The Athelian shards are now awarded for completing the following weekly quests: Imlan Morgul, the Reclamation, Imlan Morgul, Veil of Sorcery, Imlan Morgul, Continued Threats. And new flooring carpets for housing can now be purchased by Rolf Bracegirdle, Bill Twiggins, and Galliana Squibb. And discrepancies between crafting legendary weapons and scaling legendary items have been rectified. Most players will see an increase in the damage as a result, but others at the new levels may see a slight decrease in damage. And javelins are now categorized properly in the wardrobe. Okay. How are they doing them before? I guess I haven't been putting javelins into the wardrobe.
Hadn't realized that there was a difference.
Yes. And quests and adventure areas, reduced HP on Memory of Sauron, Spirit of the Hated, Spirit of Rage, and Fell Spirit Skorgrim. Increased target cooldown for Chilling Wind. Reduced damage on Weight to Failure, Fixation of the Past, Spiteful Words, and Chilling Wind. Reduced offense on Goldor Sorcerers, Goldor Lore Masters, and Gorthul. And North Athelian, Fire Beneath the Shadows instance, over-level spawns have been removed from the quest instance.
They have not
But
been
not the
removed from
landscape.
So
I just checked tonight.
the landscape still has a level 105 quest in the same area, and it's still overrun with level 123 mobs.
Okay. Well, they'll have to do something about that.
When I read the notes, I was really hoping that, if they moved it from the quest instance, that was what was causing the problem.
No. All right. As
Had
for
to take
UI,
backup.
yeah. As for UI, tooltips have been corrected for inaccessible stable routes. DX11 Interactive Water will now properly work on 64-bit clients, and performance improvements have been made on client-side landscape loading. Now, concerning these performance improvements, what was happening is that whenever you were loading landscape, you would sometimes hitch while you were going into a new section and loading the landscape. So this takes care of that hitching, but it looks like occasionally right now you do have some flickering on your terrain that you're seeing in the distance. But right now they're trying to see if they can find a solution to that, but they're thinking that it's probably better than what they had before. So we'll see how long we have to live with that before they do that. But if you see some funny flickering happening in the distance when you try to place plays, that is in place of the hitching that used to happen. And for virtues can now advance to maximum tier 68. And I'm trying to think, why? Because I would have thought that 65, I thought half your level was sort of the idea of
they're
things.
generous and they know that we need more tactical mitigation now.
Well, then why couldn't they just
I don't know.
improve what they do at level 130? Anyway, and miscellaneous, the jingling bell sound has been removed from several travel steeds where it was not appropriate. And I should also note that the Rohan housing neighborhoods can now be seen, on the outside, of course, because you can't go into them yet in the live servers, but you can see them. So if you're looking out of Adoras, for example, you could see the Kingsfell one.
It's huge.
So
I rode all the way around it. Like, I used to go collect Skarn where it's sitting now. And now there's like this
You're
big
sad.
wall and cliffs. You can't even ride to the top of the waterfall anymore. It's pretty crazy huge. I was surprised.
Yeah.
I'm looking
I'm
forward
sure
to being able to go inside, though.
Yeah. Putting up signs on there saying, opening soon. And that's it for update 25.4. So let's head into LOTRO Beacon 151, unless someone has any comments on the update. Well, then on the front cover of the beacon for this week, we have...
We don't even need to talk about the picture. Let's keep going.
As you can guess from Sans' reaction, yes, we got a not really nice look at Shelob, if nice and Shelob can be used in the same sentence.
No, she ate me.
She ate you. Well, if you go into that rage, you'll have plenty of opportunity to do so again.
I'll stand far back.
Yes.
Ranged characters only.
Yes. For the community spotlight, Druid's Fire at MMOcentral.com recorded our chat during last Friday's meetup in Boston. So there is a place you can click on for that. We discussed the details of that last week. A Day on the Greenfields brings music and dancing to Langeville on April 18th and 19th. And the Laurelin Archives is your RP portal for Laurelin. And you click on there for a new poem and check out their site. And let's see, for the Ken Hall, Licht von Valinor is a Gwalior kinship. I don't know why I'm having trouble with that. It's a Gwalior kinship planning a community event for this summer. Interested folks can keep an eye on LOTRO Media on Twitter and World Chat in June and July. So let's go into our weekly comment. Name your LOTRO-themed rock opera.
It'd be set in Minas Tirith, and the great set piece would be "Shame you didn't see it in better days."
I guess since I haven't
42 Days in Minas Tirith?
All right. Out of curiosity, I haven't been following that particular scene all that much. How many rock operas have there been? Because outside of Tommy, I guess I haven't really heard of any.
Would Rocky Horror count as one?
No.
I don't think that was a rock opera.
There's a lot of singing and dancing and innuendo.
Well, all right. Let's see. Yeah. We're having trouble with this outside of the one for Minas Tirith, that is. Actually, are there any suggestions in the chat area? Oh, spider food never puts you in a better mood? Or that'd be like the theme song for Spider-Man then, I guess. All right, we'll see if we could come up with something on that one.
Well, it's hard to, because you have to, basically the title for the rock opera has to encompass all of these themes. So you got your theme of 42 Days in Minas Tirith, shame you couldn't see it in better days. We are far from fair Thilian. And of course, my rock opera, which I don't have a name for, but I know, some of the various set pieces. There would be a solo for Terry to sing. Pew pews must die, but you can't just title the opera that. It's got to be like something big and epic. Although I like 42 Days of Minas Tirith, that's actually a good one.
Yeah, I think that might actually work. I mean, talk about a rock
Because
opera
it
here. We're
also
not talking. We're not talking about grand opera here. So.
Well, this also is like the journey leading up to the 42 Days of Minas Tirith. And why are you doing 42 days? Why do you need 42 Days of Minas Tirith? So, yeah.
Then let's head to the fan site news, and I'm sure we'll come up with something along the way. If last week we delved into the latest news in PAX East and more, so we actually talked about what we actually mentioned what we talked about instead of the title that we used. Andang looks at 2020 and beyond. Lena grabs some screenshots of new carpets available in the game. Leilani makes a digital painting of her LOTRO character. The Eichel. Let's see. Ikilmore on Twitter has some screenshots from last week's annual salmon run on Laurelin. LOTRO Stream is your home for LOTRO and Twitch. To find LOTRO, check their recent shows by the Wayward Plane, Big Ed Mustafa, and Uger. And over on YouTube, Salmon Go does some dailies. Dregotum's Gaming finds false rings, and Mr. Hellstein plays a high elf. And over at Mixler, Estelali plays the new raid. And as for our screenshots of the week, Jangolas and Amgar are back-to-back in the Throne of the Dread Terror in this week's screenshot, thanks to CCS for sending this in. Submit your own screenshots by emailing contact@standingstonegames.com. And that is it for our beacon for this week. So, Terry, what's on sale?
Do me a favor, pick somebody else for sales, pretty please.
Oh, yes. Who would be a good person for? How about Guarendis?
Well, this week is a legendary sale. You get 20% off legendary level cap increases, legendary stat upgrades, relic packs, legacies, legendary slot unlock and tier upgrades, scrolls of combination, level 50 plus, and relic removal scrolls, level 50 plus, and it's now through March. And our weekly coupon gets you an enhanced XP supply with the coupon code ENHXP now through March.
Wee. All right.
If you want any of those things, double check and make sure it's not cheaper to buy with Mithril. If you're planning to buy it, just double check.
Just double check on that. And I guess that's the real reason Terry didn't want to read it, is because it was legendary item stuff.
No, it's because I'm sick.
Yes, I know.
Oh, I suppose the other important one would be also the Minas Morgul expansion and the Stout Axe store are now available in the Lotro store, and I know a lot of people have been waiting for them.
Yes. I know a lot of people were jokingly said, well, it's already available. I said, well, and saying something, well, we did say it was going to be available in March. He says,
it's March.
Said, yeah, it's March. And we said it was going to be available in March. Yes. Apparently, some people were expecting them to mean March 31st for some reason. Okay. Let's then head into our site news, and we have Where is Emeraldina number 45, where last week they were at Thorngas Haven in Hreenbark in the Misty Mountains. And this week, it looks like someplace nice and warm. She's still jumping on beds, apparently.
Really?
I've been told they're springy.
I don't know how springy those beds are, but all right. Then
Well, they look like they're rope mattresses. They really bounce.
all right. Then let's head into our new player question. And who has the new player question this week?
That would be me. What are allegiances and how should I begin them?
Well, first of all, what level are you?
I've just walked into Mordor and Éomer was standing there going, "Hey," with a odd-looking ring and a sword over his head, and I talked to him, and he told me I needed to make some choices, and I'm
She's
just kind of
level
curious before.
112, so she is the proper level.
Yes.
A proper level.
A proper level. Yes. So you'll start by accepting whatever he has. He should tell you where to go.
You
Now,
really want
these
to be
elite-
level 110 or over and have access to Mordor before you try to start these.
Yeah,
Just for
that
the
does help a great deal. So what you do in your allegiance quests is you open up one of the 4 allegiances. There's an allegiance for each of the races. And when you open up the allegiance, you have this starter little thing in order to get the allegiance set up. And then once you have that, you get a port to their allegiance hall. And different allegiance halls are of different levels of being useful in where they take you.
They're
For
all
example,
somewhat useful, though, for what they have inside them.
yeah, they're useful for what they have inside them. I meant useful outside of things in there. For example, the dwarf one takes you to Erebor, which, what? A nice,
I
easy
highly
port to
recommend
Erebor?
it as one of your first chapters that you do, regardless of if you choose it first or fourth.
Yeah, because when you go out into the Dwarven lands and all that stuff, that Erebor port is very useful to have.
Every 5 minutes you can get back. Even if you're lost wandering around the homesteads, you can get back. It's nice.
Nice. Very easy place to get to. That makes Erebor one of the most accessible places in there because Erebor is a quest hub once you get up into the Northern Kingdoms. The one for the Hobbit, is there anything other than Allegiance stuff that's done in the Hobbit one? Because I'm not even too
I
sure
don't
where
think
that
so.
leads.
I
I
haven't tried going out the door lately, but you used to not be able to at all, so I would guess you might not be able to. There's the rider to Mordor, and then you've got cool stuff inside.
Right. The one for men pops you out into the throne room. So I guess you have that. I mean, that can get you up to the top of Minas Tirith pretty quickly, I guess.
After Battle Minas Tirith, nothing to see that.
I keep on forgetting about that. I should have thought about that the last time I needed to get up to the top tier when I was finishing up the Black Book. That would have been a much faster way. Yeah. So that's the problem there, is it's so rare that one's useful that you keep on forgetting about it. And as for the elf one, where does the elf one take you?
Karis Galathon.
Terry's so thrilled.
Yeah.
Stupid elves.
Yeah, I don't go there all that often, so.
Well, remember the elf allegiance is the one that I rage quit, so.
Yeah, So
Someday
what
I'll
you
finish
do
them.
is, as once you join a particular one, you get there. Every so often, you're going to have these quest rewards that are these allegiance bundles that are clickies. And if you, is it a clicky or do you have to? I think it's a
It's a
clicky. You get
clicky, and it
It's a
looks like a
clicky.
box, and it only gives allegiance rep, so you can't like accidentally use it for Mordor rep or anything. But it will go to whichever allegiance you have selected as active at that time. So it doesn't matter which one you select first. If you selected all 4 but you make a different one active, that's the one that will get the rep.
the rep. And eventually, you will unlock a quest. And you do that quest in order to advance the storyline for that particular side. So each of the 4 allegiances has a story side. The dwarf one is a interesting story in there. The elf one, I know Terry Adwin doesn't care about by 2 wits, but
I thought they were all interesting in different
yeah, they all
ways.
have their own interesting side. Yeah,
They fit their races.
they do fit the races.
And I would say just go for the one that you think sounds most interesting first, because by the time you have enough rep to start unlocking, to really unlock that one, unlocking the rest of them won't be a problem. So don't stress it too much.
The choices of Samwise, is that one of the allegiance quests?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay. I was trying to remember whether that was an allegiance quest or whether that was just a regular quest somewhere in there. Then any other questions on allegiances, or did I answer your question?
I think for the most part. But from what I understand, then I could start all of them and maybe do the beginning, like the ports, and then I can just set one and go ahead.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
favorite.
It's kind of like virtue XP. The virtues, you can set which ones.
Yes.
Right.
Active, yeah.
And it will say, like, make active or something like that, and you'll say yes, and then that'll be the
However, whichever one you set first is going to get the most benefit from your XP. So it does, the order in which you start them does matter. Like the bulk of your Allegiance XP will go toward that first one. Then when you start putting XP toward the second one, it takes longer to get the second one, and then longer still for the third one and for the last one. And then to earn the Allegiance XP, you actually do Mordor dailies to get the clickies.
Yeah, but they didn't make the dailies too bad. You get
no, the Mordor dailies are actually pretty cool.
And yeah, and they change up, so you're not doing the same thing every single time. I wish they still gave the black steel keys though. I'd still do them.
Well,
even the Lingris ones. But yeah, when you're doing them pretty regularly, there wasn't, like, in terms of the wait time to complete the next chapter, even with the 4th one, it wasn't as bad as the first one having to wait all the way to unlock the dailies, so in my opinion.
That's true.
You did notice that it took more rep clickies, but it wasn't a horrible, horrible grind.
All right. Then let's head into last week in LOTRO. And Guarendis, what were you up to?
Well, after the podcast last week, I rolled a new character for Shenanigans and General Mayhem, and named the Stout Axe that I rolled, a Stout Axe Runekeeper, Zot, in honor of Terry's trip through the barrow. Most excitingly for me, I finally maxed out my Hunter Bow, my level 100 first stager. In Minas Tirith dailies, of course, I still have my offhand to do, and I have a DPS bow that I was kind of thinking about working up. So I guess this way lies madness. My other half now can say, "Shame you haven't seen it in better days," because he'll hear me play the dailies. And on Friday, towards the end of the week here, I survived the Battle of the Black Gate. I'm still kind of a little sad and sniffly about Calanglad. I know it's silly of him to have been in love with Gwyneth. She's far above his station and mortality. But it was really sad, him having these visions and stuff like that. And then, well, we all know what happened to him. I'm not going to spoil it just in case. Although, it's been a while since Mordor came out. Speaking of, now I have to go on and start the Black Book of Mordor. I've heard it's good.
It is. It's really good.
Yeah. And it's going to take a while. Just know that. Doesn't finish till you're level about 125, somewhere between 125 and 130.
Maybe higher if the level cap increases again.
Well, yeah, but that's the
Noted.
end of the Black Book of Mordor, so...
Well, I know. But you might be a higher level if you're thinking
Well, you
that,
might
I'm
be.
at level 130, now I can do it. You might still not be quite there.
Then...
Not that I would be somebody to be like, I'm going to hit this level so I can do this or anything.
Kelbothian, what did you do?
Well, after the podcast, I too rolled up a new character because skullduggery is afoot. I now have a Hobbit mini to run with this new group. Thank you, LOTRO random name generator, because I was looking for a nice random amusing name, and I said couldn't think of one, so I said let's randomize this thing, and the first one that came up was Glompla, and so I now have Glompla from the Fallowhide, my Hobbit mini. Going through the intro,
Best random
instances,
name ever.
Great. It was great. I also then this week went along with Kenrit, Terry's Kenrit, along with my Celeborn. We went along, kind of were adventuring, and we were riding through a little above level there, but we were basically going through. Hang on, it wasn't Rivendell. But that area. And for some reason, I know what I'm talking about, but my entire mind just froze and said, I don't know. And you don't know. But yes, we were riding, and I got distracted, and I look up, and I see her little green
the High
ship
Moors.
the High Moors. And I thought, oh, crap, I missed my turn. So I pop off my horse, and right about the time I do, I hear roar, and there was a red named bear, and so it was the worst place possible to dismount, and I nearly got eaten by this bear, but she came along and rescued me and was like, no, why are you off your horse? And I was like, because I'm dumb. And so, cue the running and flailing for a moment before we could, at least me, before I could get away, because I was like, no, bear. And then, of course, I went on Celebathian, and I went through the instance where I could fight off pirates, and I get to choose where I defend. And because I am who I am, I chose the library because books, and there will be no Library of Alexandria Part 2 here when it's on my watch. So that was my choice, and I kind of freaked out afterward because I couldn't leave the instance automatically. It didn't end automatically, and I was like, why am I stuck? Why am I stuck? And it was finally, you have to click and actually manually leave it. It's one of those instances, and I'm like, what? So, yeah, I got out of the instance, and everything was happy, and I was not actually stuck in an instance where I actually logged out and then logged back in, and I was still in the instance, and I'm like, oh no, I'm here forever, and it's raining. So that was my week. Now I'm on spring break because, and I can, relax and not be stressed out. I cannot wait for this next week.
Sans Winda.
Well, Emma Laura stepped into Rumorchant, or Rumorhaunt, however you want to say it.
There's phlegm in it.
Yeah, it should be even worse than that, but I don't really want a sore throat. And, And then she helped a new mini learn some skills. So that was kind of fun. Almost a full circle there. So, yeah, it was nice. Brand new level 5, 7 mini. So, that was pretty cool. And then I rolled a new stout axe with my nephew, who can finally have a stout axe because it's in the store. He was so excited. And we also made it to level 7, and he went off to go find a quest he wanted to do and rode all the way through Bree. So I don't know, like all the way through the Bree lands. He was going to ride until he couldn't ride anymore because he thought maybe he'd make it back to Mordor.
Why would you want to go back
where
there?
he got off, or where he decided to stop riding. But it was interesting. I went back to grading papers. And I rolled a new alt for shenanigans named Failfiel, thanks to the random name generator. So that was fun.
Falafel.
No, Failfiel. Or Fail.
Falafel.
Yeah, we're totally going to call her Falafel.
Probably
Yeah,
falafel. And Sanzwunda became world renowned and stepped into the Houses of Lamentation. Not on the same night. But I never thought I was going to get the world renowned deed done because, like, I only did deeds that gave me the virtues I wanted, and that didn't result in lots of good rep, and I didn't need the rep for ports because I was hunter, but she did it. So, this week, Sanzwunda has become world renowned. How was your week, Terry?
Well, Axley and friends headed deeper into Edenwythe and met a dwarf with dementia. That was fun because we ended up not doing our typical Minas Morgul stuff this week because we weren't able to do it Tuesday, and then we did it yesterday, and it's welcome back weekend. Let's not squander the plus 100% XP for being VIP by playing on level cap alts. So yeah, we did Axley and friends. We headed deeper into Edenwythe. We met Nona. Yay! Hi Nona. Bye Nona. Hi Nona again. Bye Nona again. And then then we got to experience the wonder that is the session play, that you don't have to worry about the power cost.
I still think somebody got that story wrong. I'm not sure if it was the Rangers or the Suns.
Yeah, it's really interesting going through that session play again and listening to Candace tell us that story, having finished out the Black Book of Mordor and done the epilogue, where we hear a little bit different version of that story, because it doesn't quite, but okay.
I think he's giving us the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, I guess. Obviously Candace is missing a couple of details, is all we basically were able to come up with. He's giving us the Cliff Notes, the TLDR version. Yeah, it was fun. And then, my Lord Master Ken ran around slightly underleveled in the Troll Shaws, because why not? That's what you do. You run around and look for very important quests. Thanks, Sans. I had to explain that to Calabathian this week. I explained the very important quests. We're doing yellow and orange quests, so they're important quests. We managed not to get lost this time, and I am very thankful for the Pocket Hunter, because A, Leafy Feet, and B, the port to Oscarus comes in really handy when you can't, when you don't necessarily need to go back to Rivendell, but you need to go somewhere back in the Troll Shaws, and you can't really port to Rivendell, but you can port to Oscarus, and that'll take you to Rivendell, and then you can get to the other places you need to get in the Troll Shaws. So yeah. And we were taking the slow travel from the High Moor. We were taking the slow travel from Rivendell to Thornhod because we needed to stop at Fort of Bruinen. And this way it gets you like the Gates of Namdrus, the High Moor, and then Fort of Bruinen, and you can finish out the road to Rivendell need. And I was ahead of her, so I don't know why she got off her horse, because I had just gotten to the ford, and I was talking about having just gotten to the ford. And then I hear, ah! And I'm like, wait a minute, what happened? Why are you off your horse?
That's what it is. Don't play LOTRO and be distracted, dang it. You look up and suddenly you're like, oh, they're way over here and I'm not going in that direction. What happened? I must have missed it. I need to get off my horse. I got to get off my horse and a bear tries to eat me. A very important quest bear.
Yeah, a very important quest bear.
I mean, the Rangers probably couldn't handle it by themselves, so it's a good thing you guys took care of that bear.
Right? I mean, they're just sitting there by the campfire and just watching her get mauled. And so I also have new character, the new High Elf Captain Prancerella hit the scene. And I decided I really didn't want all of my character slots to be full, so I sacrificed an old character to make way, so I still have an empty spot just in case. I actually went back to the end of my pages to see who was the character that I haven't logged in forever and ever and ever, and it was a regular dwarf runekeeper, and he was only level 21, and so I logged him in and cashed out all of his equipment, because I have a very specific process when it comes to deleting a character. I empty out all of their vaults. Anything I can transfer over, I transfer over. I sell all of their gear, including I unequip everything that they're carrying so that they're naked when they're deleted. And I sell it all, and I send the money to Terry Adwin. So no assets are wasted.
You basically strip them down so they're naked, and then you kill them.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice. Total sacrifice.
Oh, that went dark.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so my dwarf runekeeper is no more, which basically means that I now have space for another runekeeper, is what that means.
Calm down, Sauron.
But yeah, because I don't like having full character slots. I like to have one open just in case. Like, I have 30 other characters, so yeah. Next on the list, the next character that's my last login is my Elf Lore Master Thomasina. So she's on the chopping block should I decide to make somebody new. But yeah, that was my week. How about you, Pineleaf?
I'll begin with the first half of the field trip, since Linda may have talked about the other part of it, but actually, maybe she didn't talk about it. But anyway, during the field trip, we headed into Eregion, where I disconnected Logon. And Logon is one of those characters who's in this cave in Eregion, and we wanted to take care of the troll that was in that cave, so we went into there. I forgot, was Logon the target of it, or he was standing next to Logon? One or the other two, because they were both in the same room. There are two in the same room there. And then after that, that's when Sans came in, and we started going all over the place, trying to see trying to do deeds, for example, killing slugs in the Shire and all those things that you really like to do at level 100, right?
So are you saying that you logged off Logon?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to avoid using that word. Which is, yeah, that's the first word I thought of. I thought disconnect would be more appropriate there. So, so we went all over. So we were going all over the place in there trying to get it. And I was demonstrating my innate ability that no matter what class I'm playing, I will not be able to be the one who gets in the most kills. I'm on the burglar. Okay, the burglar, you expect the burglar to have trouble with. But I'm on the hunter. No, the lore master is killing everything even before I have a chance to pull out an arrow. So that's sort of like the things that were going on in there. Then speaking of burglars, my burglar on Critic Hollow investigated some traders in Aedoras. And on Honor, I finished up my East Wall quest, and I finally headed into the Wold, where maybe I'll do something about getting one of those fancy war steeds that I suspect a lot of people on Honor are riding on at this moment. And we'll see how that goes. We currently have 13 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious array of players and help support LOTRO players, go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. And this includes our ability in order to do live shows, because if we don't get any new patrons soon, that is going to be the thing that's going to get axed. If you'd like to contact us, you can contact us at podcast@LotroPlayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at the Players Alliance and Players Ally, Lotro Players at Lotro Players, Arendis at Arendis, Piney Fit, Piney Needles, and Finesse, and Terry Edwin at Terry Edwin. And you could follow. Ooh, we don't have those new ones in there. And we could look at Guarendis.
At Nida Shell on Twitter.
And where can they find you, Calabathian?
It will be happening soon. I don't have my Twitter yet. I'm trying to think of a good name. It's going to happen, though. It's fate. It's destiny.
It is fate. It shall happen.
No, because last week all of my students were like, "Do you have Twitter?" And I'm like, I don't. And they're like, "You should get Twitter." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so right at, since it was like last week's podcast, I didn't have one. And then I was like, you know what? Obviously someone wants me to have Twitter. So now I've got to figure out what name to use.
Yeah. You have to come up with a name that your students won't make fun of.
Well, not only that, but I also do a little bit of writing, and so I don't want to make like 2 and 3 different Twitters and like for everything. I would like to have it kind of in one.
Right.
But yes, I am not that organized to have like 2 or 3 different Twitters and everything else. I'm like, no, I'll forget something somewhere.
Yes. The Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Mondays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. You can join us for our shows at LOTROPlayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight, and this is Piney Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.